A lot of times when you start out, you're saying, you know what, I want to be doing 40 hours a week and I just want to be able to crush it and work with all these clients. And I always say, okay, that's a good goal to have. But before we get to 40 hours of appointments per week, let's see how you do at 20 hours per week. Because whenever you're building any business, a lot of times we overlook the outside responsibilities that fall outside the actual coaching hours. All right, everybody, we are back with a brand new Integrative Health Coach Success podcast. Excited to be here with you today, going over a brand new show on how to set and achieve your goals with these health coaching milestones. One of the reasons I wanted to do this show here today is that we have health coaches in all different levels inside of the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute. Some are brand new or getting certified. Some have been doing this now for 3 or 4 years. And even before that, they may have been registered dietitians, they may have been a chiropractor, they may have been a naturopath, they may have been all sorts of different things. And now they're kind of setting up their own business, virtual-based business, or in person in a little bit different of a way. And what I wanted to share with you is that a lot of times when you start out, you're saying, you know what, I want to be doing 40 hours a week and I just want to be able to crush it and work with all these clients. And I always say, okay, that's a good goal to have. But before we get to 40 hours of appointments per week, let's see how you do at 20 hours per week. And I want to explain this in a little bit, hopefully it gives context, is because whenever you're building any business, a lot of times we overlook the ancillary or outside responsibilities that fall outside the actual coaching hours. Now, this is not something to be scared about. This is not something to be worried about. Simply wanted to bring it to your attention so you bring it into your schedule and also so you charge appropriately for your services. And I can help you with all of those things hopefully here today. So we do this inside of what's called Business Mentorship Experience, BME. We run this every single January. And what it is that an A to Z approach to building the career of your dreams. That's really what it is, from A to Z, from starting out to then massively growing it to a massively successful business, wherever you want to be. And again, success for you might literally be 1 appointment a day, 5 a week, 20 a month. But if you do that, that's phenomenal. You're helping 20 people a month, but also it can be an excellent career. I mean, just do the math on that. What if you are like our average person, charging $290 for your valuable services, and we multiply that by 20 a month? Well, that's a basically $70,000 a year salary. That's pretty impressive, right? I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at all. And how can that be done? Well, it can be done by taking really great care of those 5 people every week. And that is why my first milestone for people is actually 5 appointments per week. And they like to say, but yeah, that's so little, that's nothing. It's actually not. The math I just gave you is real. $290 times 20 is $5,800 per month. And then if you just do the math on that, it's about $70,000 per year with a couple weeks off per year of not seeing clients, because I think obviously everybody should have that. So that's real. But when people hear that, they say, oh, that's nothing. It's only 5 hours a week. No, it's not only 5 hours a week. That's what I like to share with people. 5 hours per week is more like, or 5 appointments per week is more like 10 to 12 hours a week. And you might say, how is that possible? Well, for most people, now this is when you're first starting out. For most people, they're going to do about 30 minutes of prep time to an hour of prep for every client's appointment. And the reason is that you're still new at it and you still haven't done it hundreds to thousands of times. So it just takes you just take a little bit more time. You're more cautious, all of those things, which is not a bad thing. It's a great thing, and it's what I did, and it's what everybody should do. So let's say you have an appointment at, let's just say it's 7 o'clock at night after your day job. Okay. So you start prepping for that. Maybe you did it earlier in the day, or maybe you do it 6 at night, whatever works for you, right? And so after that, you've got your, maybe they ran labs, or maybe you're just putting together a wellness protocol. Okay, well, you're looking at that, you're making sure it's good to go like a great health coach should, and then you get on that call. Good, that's fantastic, right? So now you had the call with them. Let's say it took you, let's just say the longest it would take is an hour, right? So let's just say it took an hour, and you did that for every client starting out. Okay, so you're at 10 hours a week. Fantastic. But then you still have about 30 minutes, not a lot, but you have about 30 minutes of follow-up email and scheduling on a daily basis. So that's about 12 and a half hours of work per week. So when you look at that, you're getting paid a great amount of money, right? $290. But what you've tried to build in is that it's not a 1 hour consultation. It's actually, for each individual, it's about 2 hours. So now you're technically being paid at $145 per hour. Still really great pay, right? Excellent pay. You deserve it. You're helping people to achieve all of their health and wellness and weight loss or weight gain goals. But you have to look at it that way. Now, as you get to 10 appointments per week, the amount of prep time doesn't double. Again, we share this inside of BME. It does not. It's still basically 1 hour. And it's simply because by the time you get to double the appointments, based 2 a day, you're able to prep faster. So the time doesn't increase. What increases on the back end is just the follow-up, because now you have more clients. Because in order to go from 5 a week to 10 a week, which is 20 a month, to 40 a month, that's now $140,000, $150,000 a year for those 10 appointments per week or 10 hours per week. What happens is you put in 6 months, you put in 12 months, whatever it might be. And so now you're taking care of more clients. And because you're taking more clients, it's an hour prep, but it's also about an hour of email and follow-up. Hopefully you're using an automated scheduler by then. You've got a lot automated in your practice, but still there's an hour of work. So now for every 2 hours you do, there's about 2 hours during the day of the prep work and the follow-up. And again, you can batch this. I've talked about batching and chunking before, where you can kind of do this for the week. So you could do everything on a Sunday in 3 hours if you wanted to, and then just have your papers in front of you, show up for your appointment, and then maybe every day at noon and 5 o'clock, you do your emails. Like, you can set all of this up. So I'm not going to go into that today. I can do if that's of interest to you, let me know. And I can do a batching and chunking to improve your business. Or why don't I just put that down? I'll put it in my notes. If this is helpful, happy to do a podcast on how to make these things much, much simpler as well. So, and again, we teach this in depth in business mentorship experience. And I only mention that because for those people looking to take things to the next level, there is really deep curriculum if you want to go deep on this. So here's what I would share with you though. When you're at the 10 hours per week, you're really looking at 20 hours of work, 10 hours of consults, plus about 20 hours of total work, 10 more hours. Okay. Now, so that's pretty good. So 20 hours, right? Think about that. That is what a lot of people inside of IHP do. They're making well over $100,000 now a year. Doesn't even include what they're earning for ambassador commissions, et cetera. Okay. And they're making a great living. They feel that that's pretty good for them. Now, there is another tier, and it's right around the 15 to 20 hours per week. And I'm going to explain why this is kind of that next tier. So when you do 20 hours per week of actual coaching, this is what it looks like. There's an additional 2 hours per day of prep time. So that's about it. So you're doing about 4 appointments per day. Yeah, there's about an hour and a half to 2 hours max of prep time. So it's right around there, hour and a half to 2 hours. Some consultations take longer, some less, depends on if you're reading labs, takes a little bit longer. And then you definitely have an hour of follow-up. So let's use that as our basis. Let's use an hour and a half of our prep plus an hour minimum, right, of our follow-up. So that's 2.5, and that's going to be times 5 days a week. So that's 12 and a half. Yeah, and that's the minimum. That's the minimum. I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction. I'm going to say that if you're doing 20 appointments per week, you're looking at about 35 hours total in your schedule. Okay. So when you look at how do I hit these certain milestones, well, this is how we typically do it. Once you can work on your own, no doubt about it. until about 20 scheduled appointments per week. All right. And that's about 35 hours in your schedule. That's 9 to 4 working hours. That's probably about right. And what I want to look at it is this next step. Once you go above 20 scheduled appointments, you need to have an assistant, or you want to have someone that's maybe a junior to you on your team that you're helping to coach up. That's secondary, that can help out. And the reason is this, is that if you want to do more appointments in your practice, you have to do less than of the follow-up, the scheduling, the invoices, etc. You just can't do it at that point, because now you're doing a lot of administrative work that you can absolutely teach to someone else to do that could then allow you to do those jobs. Like, for example, let's say you wanted to pay somebody $20 an hour and they could do your scheduling, they could do invoices, they could do follow-ups with clients as needed. You hired another health coach. Okay, great. And so that's $20. Let's say that you're making on average, let's just say the $145, the $150. Okay, so if we do the math on that, they could work for you 7 to 8 hours a week, and you just need to do one more appointment. So you can see how the math works there, right? So for every one more appointment you do, you could pay for someone else to work for you for another 7 to 8 hours. So let's say you do 2 more appointments per week. It's paid for that individual to work 15 hours a week to take care of all of the items that maybe you don't even want to do, right? They can help you with a lot of different things. They might even be able to help you with some social media posts, taking your post and posting it for you, or helping with comments, or looking at direct messages while you're doing your 9 to 4 or 9 to 5. Because if you want to get to 9 to 5, which is a lot of appointments. That's 40 hours, which I don't recommend for anybody. But if you wanted to get to that, it is a true 60-hour-a-week job. And so I just want you to be careful at setting your goals for 40 hours a week of actual appointments. I've done it. It's not overly enjoyable. At the end of the day, you feel great that you helped so many people, but you're going to burn out. I don't know anybody who doesn't. I really don't, because it doesn't end there. So when I was doing appointments from 8 in the morning to 5 at night with an hour off at lunch, I was coming in at 6:30 a.m. to prep. And then I was doing hours of follow-up each night. And that's what it looks like. And I don't want people to set the sights and the goal for that. What I want you to do is say, oh, okay, this makes sense now. So for every 2 appointments I do, I probably have another hour of work. I think that's the best way to look at it. Or even better, for every 1 hour I work, I have about a half of that time in prep work, because that's where it makes sense. Not at 5 hours. Again, at 5 hours a week, you're just getting started. It's going to be a 1-for-1. But once you get to above 10 appointments per week, it's about 0.5 hours of prep time and follow-up. Because you can have so many automated systems, automated invoices, automated scheduling, automated follow-up. You've got all of those things that are basically done for you. And you don't need more than a half hour to prep for each client. You most likely don't, because you have templates of all of your different protocols and you edit them based on the individual. You've seen the labs hundreds of times. So now you're saying, okay, these are the main things that I'm going to work on. And you put those in your protocol. So you can really get it done in 30 minutes. Now that's probably the shortest amount of time, but you can get it done. So once you get to 15 hours per week, for sure, it's about half that in prep time. And then it's going to be about half that in follow-up. So that's how we look at it. Like, that is how we schedule everything. It is about 30 minutes per appointment for your prep. If you're a good health coach, you're looking at all the different parameters on average. Again, someone that's doing their 4th follow-up with you, you might need 10 minutes, like looking over all the paperwork in the beginning of the day, because you might be doing back-to-back appointments. But it's your follow-up. Because remember, when you've been doing this for a year or two, you're going to be answering emails from people 6 months ago or a year ago. That's the next step. And I'll probably teach this on a separate show. Well, I'll definitely teach this on a separate show. But you can't be answering emails from people that you haven't seen in your practice for 6 months. You can't. They have to do a schedule and a follow-up appointment. So what I try to teach all of my coaches is that it's not that you want to be, you don't want to be that you're not there to help them, because of course you want to, but you can't even help someone that you haven't seen in 6 months. Think about everything that transpires in half of a year. You actually need more data. You need to understand where they've been. You can't just edit their nutritional supplements, their diet, their exercise without speaking to them. So you at least have to do a 30-minute to ideally 60-minute follow-up. So hopefully this was helpful. I think it allows you to set your sights on first, hit those 5 appointments per week, and you can make a greater income than you probably even thought. Then your 10 appointments per week. Now you're making a fantastic income. You may never increase from there. You might want to just stick at 20 hours to 25 hours max per week, with 10 of those being coaching hours. And then if you want to, now you're going to add automations, and then sky's the limit for as many appointments as you'd like to do per week, which I recommend as a health coach, never doing more than 25 to 30 hours maximum total coaching per week. Is going to lead to a 40-hour week schedule as it is anyways. That's enough for most coaches. Hopefully this show was helpful. I'll link up any pertinent shows at ihp.coach/276 for all of these details. Take care, everybody.